I thought he was tremendous. For a fellow of his height, you know, his ability on the floor was superb. He could control the ball, he could lay it off, you know, and his actual footwork, you know, he could beat a man. And of course his great strength, of course, was his heading.
If Duncan's up for a game, you can't compete with him. He was 6'4", whatever he was, but he also leapt really well. So he was a real handful for any defender, and the worst thing you could do with Duncan was kick him early on in the game, and you know, we'd be right up for it then.
I'm sure he was the bane of the Reds' lives on many occasions, but that was Duncan. You know, you put the ball in the right areas for him, and he'd score goals, whether it was Scotland, Glasgow Rangers, or Everton. And like I say, I think that Everton got the best out of him.
But speaking to defenders who had played against him, and our defenders who had played against him, you're right in what you say. He could be a fearsome character to play against, and on his day, he was as good as anyone.
I think everybody idolised him. You know, I think he was, you know, he made such an impact. He had everything you were looking for as a player. He was big, aggressive, unplayable in the air, and equally on the ground he was as good.
He was awesome. You know, especially in his heyday. You couldn't live with him if Duncan was on form. No matter who you were, you couldn't live with him. And you know, fantastic header of the ball and a great leader of the line.
I suppose it's the sort of effect that Eric Cantona had when he played for United, but Duncan Ferguson was just one of those people that your eyes were drawn to him when he was on a football field. There's always something happening around him. Something's controversial, something's brilliant, but it was always, you know, very, very difficult. And not just his physique, but just the way he was, just not to sort of be looking at him during the game.
He used to wear his heart on his sleeve. He'd go out and give his all in every game, and sometimes situations he just used to get a little bit frustrated at times. But that was saying that was Duncan. That's what people loved about him, because he was so passionate about everything that he did.
You want the aggression on the pitch. You want a man who's going to get the ball and a man who's going to fight for Everton. And I think what endears him to Evertonians, because he never gave up. He was always fighting for the ball, always there for Everton. And but on the other side was the caring man as well. And I think we've got to look at the balance.
Speaking to Fergie quite a lot, both on and off the pitch, and he's become a great mate of mine. And you know, he's helped me a lot throughout my career. Still to this day, I still speak to him, and he tries to help me.
He wasn't a player who spoke to the press. He didn't feel comfortable speaking to the press, so there was that little bit of a enigma about him. You know, who is this Duncan Ferguson all about? And that just added to the status that he had at the football club.
Great company, always had a story to tell. Threw a good party, and was good on a night out.
He would often invite me around to his house and force my head under the ice bar with the vodka tap running through, which I thought was very generous of him.
I was lucky enough to be invited on the the rare occasion when Fergie did venture into town. I've been out a couple of times with him, and the way people treated him around the city was like they did look at him in awe, as as it were, and people gave him the utmost respect, which obviously he commanded and deserved.
Every time I think of Duncan, I think he's a true Evertonian, and he went to the hearts of every Evertonian, and still in the hearts of every Evertonian. And we could do with a real Duncan Ferguson in every team, because he fights for the ball, he fights for the team, and he's proud of being an Evertonian.
Day to day in training, his technique and the things that he showed me and showed other players showed what a true great player he was, but what a great person he was as well when he had to be around.
Honestly, without doubt, one of the most gifted players that I ever worked with.
Overall, Duncan Ferguson as an Evertonian, I think he'll go down in their history as one of their greatest centre forwards.
He still is a great man who done a lot in football, and he's very underrated and but very respected.